Hello everyone, it's your options guy. Welcome back to another video. Man, so the markets have been taking a dump lately. Like all stocks and crypto and the whole market sentiment in general has been going down. This whole Delta COVID variant and the inflation has been scaring everyone. And yeah, it's been not so fun lately, and we've kind of just somewhat halted lately. We haven't really had like a major correction, except for cryptocurrency, but stocks have just been like somewhat like just slowed down in general, except for of course like the type of stocks like Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, so on. Those stocks are just like, the blue chip type stocks are always doing relatively well, and yeah, overall everything has been taking a dump. But anyway, so in today's video I wanted to go over basically explain why I decided to go all in on crypto, and we have a lot to cover in this video. We have about like 10 topics to go over, and those topics range from like adoption to the bear thesis, bull thesis, going over my portfolio, upcoming catalyst, and where we go from here. So yeah, we have a lot to cover. But before we get into it, I just wanted you guys to check out my channel. Go ahead and click that subscribe button if you like what you see, and especially if you like this video and want to see more of like the topics I'm going to be talking about. I mainly go over like stocks such as Palantir and Coinbase, and basically like a lot of stocks where like ARK has interest in, because I have a lot of interest in those types of plays as well. So yeah, I mainly also cover basically what's going on with options, and I have like an option diagram and orders that I can showcase to my subscribers, basically showing like where everyone's buying options and such, and what's bullish, what's bearish, stuff like that. But anyways, back to the video and the topic, which is basically talking about why I decided to basically put in or shift over a lot of my money into crypto. And I'm going to cover a lot of topics and kind of explain like why I'm bullish in it, and it might even convince you, if you're watching this, it might convince you to like have some stake into Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Coinbase, because those are the main ones that I'm going to be talking about. So remember, if you like, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, comment. Alright, so let's get into it. Okay, so at first I was not super like into crypto. I was not really like a crypto fan. If anything, I tried to stay away from crypto. I just wanted to like stick to stocks and just play stocks, because I understood stocks a lot more. But then after seeing crypto basically drop down like 50%, and then started like noticing a couple things, and a lot of FUD started coming out. Like before, there weren't that many FUD articles, but there was so much FUD articles started coming out like day in, day out, and basically just driving the price down. But it's been holding very steadily above or around 30k, so I've been noticing that, and the 30k wall has been like very strong support. I don't think we're gonna get what we got back in I believe it was 2017, where we like, or at least Bitcoin like spiked like up to 20,000 and then just crashed back down to like 5,000. I don't think we're gonna get that type of situation here. I think if anything, this may be around like the low end, especially with how far Bitcoin has come in terms of adoption and with institutions and retailers and such. So anyways, there's been a lot of fear going on, and that made me basically want to educate myself with what's going on with Bitcoin and how it works and all that stuff, and why are people in it, and is there something that I'm not seeing? Because I know Kathy Wood is super bullish on it, and she has a team that basically does like models, and then like they do like worst case scenarios and best case scenarios and all that stuff. So she has like a dedicated team to like doing all this information digging and stuff. And I know that her and her team are super bullish on crypto and Bitcoin in general. So that like caught my eye into like wanting to research into it. So I think the biggest bull case, or at least that bulls like to bring out, is the fact that Bitcoin only has, or there's a cap at 21 million coins. So just knowing that there's a basically like a limit on anything, like, you know how like you always see like whatever product that you like or something, and then you see like, oh, limited time offer, or there's only like 100 ever made or whatever. Like those are usually the ones that sell off or get bought like the fastest and stuff, like whatever it is, right? Because it has that limit factor. Well, Bitcoin is actually like set in stone with 21 million coins, and that actually caught my eye because you know, if you apply the laws of supply and demand, and basically seeing where we're at right now in terms of demand with Bitcoin, the price targets that I see of Bitcoin worth 100k, 500k and such, that doesn't actually seem like impossible based on where we're at and like the terms of like the adoption it has gone. So having that limited factor, I think is just a really good factor into like the bull thesis of Bitcoin and such. So that definitely caught my eye. Okay, so at first I wasn't into Ethereum. I was actually trying to stay away from quote unquote altcoins. Ethereum is considered an altcoin because it's alternative to Bitcoin. However, I think Ethereum does have like its own special, unique type of like technology and how it works, and it is different from Bitcoin. So the best way I can explain to someone of like how Bitcoin and Ethereum works is, so imagine that there's only like 100 domains, right? So like there's only 100 domains available on the internet. So, you know, that can range from like Google, Amazon.com, you know, what have you. So just knowing that there's only 100, that's basically like the Bitcoin factor, right? Like the second like there's 20 left, the price is going to increase, right? So Ethereum is basically like the infrastructure which you can consider it as like the internet in this scenario. So Ethereum is basically the internet where the domains are built off on, and that's kind of like a very simple analogy I can use, where Ethereum is basically the infrastructure, and a lot of altcoins are actually built off of using the Ethereum technology. So Ethereum, I think it's a good altcoin. It's up and coming. A lot of people say it may even overtake Bitcoin. I don't know if that will be the case, but I can definitely see it possibly overtaking it in terms of like as a payment functionality, because Ethereum, I believe, like in the future would be using less like resources, and it would be just faster and cheaper to use Ethereum as a payment type of functionality. So yeah, either way, I'm invested in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, lastly, I'm also invested in Coinbase. I consider Coinbase basically being like the PayPal of crypto. So I've jotted down some information here based on their last earnings. They made 1.8 billion in revenue, and that's just in their last quarter. So there's some companies out there that are not even close to $1 billion in revenue in like the whole year, and Coinbase did it in the last quarter, and that's huge when you think about it. So they also have $2 billion in cash. Their market cap is only around 50 billion. So if you were to like compare this to like Palantir, for example, they're more or less like almost in terms of like what they're worth, it's almost the same like in paper, but Coinbase is making a lot more money. So if you were to just like do the math, you'd be like, okay, why is Coinbase actually like not trading as high, or is Palantir trading higher, or, you know, like what's going on? I think Coinbase is like, in terms of like their earnings and everything, I think it's at a very low price right now, and I think it could go a lot higher based on like how much money they're making and stuff. So as you can see, 17 analysts they basically have a median price target within a year from now of 335. So the lowest is 225, which is currently where we're at right now. And there's one analyst that had a price target as high as 650, so that's pretty big. So I think Coinbase is definitely a good investment. But just so you know, I'm not a financial analyst in any way, shape, or form. So if it seems like I'm giving advice, that's just like my opinion, and it's just for entertainment purposes. So yeah, let's continue. Okay, so for topic number 4, I listed as adoption. So adoption has been growing. I mean, there is already like a huge fan base for crypto in general, especially Bitcoin and Ethereum. But I can see we're still in the early stages of like adoption, because we haven't really like fully done like mass adoption where like everyone's using Bitcoin all of a sudden as like a term of like currency and stuff. However, in El Salvador, they actually made Bitcoin legal tender, so they are starting to do that. And there's a lot of Bitcoin ATMs, and a lot of people already have access to phones and everything. So it just makes sense for them to be doing that type of play. And I think El Salvador is just like the first, like in the early stages. There's gonna be more countries that I feel like are gonna be following their path or the same footsteps that they took. So I can see Panama up and coming. Mexico could be a big one. So there's other big countries that may follow the same steps, and then that will just increase the adoption even further than it is right now. Also, as you can see, institutions have been loading up. So Tesla, one of the early adopters, PayPal, Square, MicroStrategy, everyone knows that ARK is super bullish on Bitcoin. I noted Rothschild, if I'm saying that right, because they recently have been somewhat loading up as well within the Grayscale holdings or trust. And as you can see here, some other ones like Coinbase, Riot, some company from Germany, a company from Canada. And not only has like institution adoption has been growing, but also in terms of like having a Bitcoin ETF, currently like the countries that do have one is Brazil, Canada, Dubai. US currently does not have one, but there has been multiple applications. I think we're at 13 applications for having a Bitcoin ETF. I think the second that the US finally accepts a Bitcoin ETF, I think that's gonna make it like explode, like definitely go to the moon. If anything, that's probably like the biggest catalyst, I would say, is having a Bitcoin ETF in the US. And then not only will that just like kind of take away like the speculative concern away from Bitcoin, but it would like cause like a domino effect with like more ETFs being approved. So yeah, that's definitely the biggest one. And again, I think we're in the early stages of adoption. There's a lot of fear going on right now. Like just by seeing all these signs, it just makes more sense to be investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum and Coinbase as of right now. So another reason why I decided to invest was basically, if you look at all the price targets and if you look at like the options and like what's going on within like Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that, you have the capability of basically 3x or 5x your money, if not more. And especially more if you're in it for like long term, which I am setting up long term positions for. So after doing the math and just basically breaking everything down from like where I was within stocks, and then like the potential like where I could be with like within these 3 positions, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Coinbase, it just makes more sense having my positions there, especially as of right now, because there's like a lot of fear going on. So to me, it seems like Bitcoin and the crypto space has been trading at a discount. It's 50% down from its all-time high. And there's a lot of people speculating that Bitcoin still has the capability of being 100K at the end of the year, and Ethereum being 8K to 10K at the end of the year. Now, at first it may sound crazy, but I do remember back when Bitcoin was around 10,000 and Kathy was basically saying like, oh yeah, like I can see this being at 50,000, like no issue. And I thought that was crazy. I'm like, is this really gonna like 5x? And it did. Like within a couple months, it went up, further than 50,000. It went to 64,000. So it's definitely like within reach or within the capability of Bitcoin to hit those targets when you think about it, especially of like how volatile it is. So yeah, definitely high risk, high reward type of play. All right, so in the next topic, I wanted to talk about the bear thesis. So one of the main points is that Bitcoin has no value. And at first it may seem that way, but then when you think of money and basically like what it is, it's just paper, right? Like you give it a value. Like when you break it down to it, there's really nothing different from a piece of paper with Ben Franklin versus a piece of paper with Abraham Lincoln or George Washington, right? So yeah, when you just break it down to it, like it really comes down to like what is value. And it's basically like what people decide value is when you really think about it. So I mean, the government is basically saying like, you know, this piece of paper is worth X amount, and based on like how Bitcoin is doing, people are saying like one Bitcoin is worth 30x now. So that's just like how it is. And like, if anything, if you were to try to compare like actual value to like something that's tangible, then that's like a different story. But value is whatever, you know, people decide, or the market decides what it is. So another bear point is the China crackdown. So there's been so many articles of China and crackdown and banning or anti-Bitcoin and such that it's been insane. But I feel like the China crackdown is getting old when you think about it, especially because they've already like cracked down so hard that it's caused a lot of miners to basically like move out of China. And I think US is now like the upcoming like hub of mining. So I don't know if China crackdown is really a bear thesis or a bear point anymore. Yeah, so if anything, it just like helped out like the bull thesis, because now you don't really have to worry about the China crackdown. So another bear point is the criminal activity, but then like you can say that there's criminal activity like in all different types of currencies. It's not like no one is committing any crimes with the dollar. Like there's definitely crimes going on with the dollar and other currencies. It's not just like only Bitcoin. And I don't know if people can necessarily say that a lot of like criminals get away with it within like the crypto space, because lately there has been a lot of government crackdowns of getting Bitcoins back and such. So again, I don't know if that's really a good point anymore. But I mean, if you're a bear, you can leave it in the comments and let me know what you think. So another point is the environmental concern, which again, I don't know if this is another concern, especially with the whole China crackdown causing a lot of miners to move elsewhere. So again, if anything, I feel like the whole China crackdown has increased the bull thesis of, or at least getting rid of the environmental concern, because now since more miners are in the US, they're actually using renewables and such. So especially because the US is heading that way with more like electric type of renewables and such. So I feel like environmental concerns are kind of like going away. And lastly, another bear point that I put in was the grayscale lockup expiration, but this one already happened recently. So previously there's been so much like FUD going on with the grayscale lockup and how it's gonna tank Bitcoin and possibly cause it to go down to 25k, if not lower, because there's gonna be like a huge sell-off and everything. But the lockup expiration actually happened on July 18th. I think it was like 3 days ago. So it did cause it to go down, but I think it was like anticipation of the grayscale, not necessarily the grayscale per se. And if anything, that type of FUD is no longer valid, I believe, because it already happened. It's in the past, it's behind us. So when I look at it, the bear thesis is kind of like dimming away. If anything, I guess I forgot to put in like another point where you could say like the US creating like their own stable coin could hurt or impact Bitcoin. And then there's also like the regulatory concerns, where like if the government steps in, like it could hurt Bitcoin. But then I feel like if that does happen, it would actually help Bitcoin, because if it's a little bit more regulated, it will make more investors like a little bit less speculative on Bitcoin. They would feel like it's a lot safer to invest in. So that's kind of like in play with like if the SEC decides to allow a Bitcoin ETF in the United States, that's also somewhat the same as like a regulatory type of play, I would say. So yeah, I mean, if I miss any other bear points, please put in the comments. But yeah, so now let's move into the bull thesis. All right, so for bull thesis, one of the biggest points is it's a hedge against inflation, and it's a store of value, where because of the whole scarcity within Bitcoin, it would actually appreciate in time. Also, the whole DeFi tech, where basically there's no single government control over Bitcoin, is actually like very popular within the bull thesis. A lot of bulls like to say that it's the people's money because no single government has control over it. I would say that a bull thesis is institutional adoption. So there's been more and more whales loading up at these prices, and I feel like that's kind of caused Bitcoin to stay above 30K, and just the whole adoption is barely starting, and I feel like it's just gonna grow exponentially. So another bull point would be a method of payment. So you could use Bitcoin, which I think El Salvador is doing already, where they're using it as a method of payment. So you can convert your fiat to Bitcoin and then pay with it and stuff, buy stuff with it. So that's another great usage of Bitcoin and crypto in general. And lastly, it's basically considered a new asset class. So I don't know if they're already doing this in balance sheets, but I know in balance sheets like Tesla, Square, PayPal, for example, they're showcasing how much in Bitcoin they have. So I don't know if they're actually putting in like a new asset, but basically it is a new asset class. And just like how Cathie Wood has been saying, that if institutions start buying it and start adding like at least 5% in their portfolio to Bitcoin, then it's gonna cost Bitcoin to be 500K. I mean, there's many ways that she's been saying that it can get to 500K, but that's one of the ways. All right, so now let's talk about the upcoming catalysts. So again, if the US ETF or if the SEC finally approves a Bitcoin ETF, that would be like the biggest catalyst. I think it like definitely cause Bitcoin to surge like exponentially, and it would just like further increase the adoption of Bitcoin and such. So I think that would be like the biggest catalyst that could happen. So another point would be all these other countries like Panama, Brazil, Mexico adopting it as legal tender. That would increase adoption. Basically anything that increases adoption would basically be a catalyst. So for point number C, I put in the B word event, July 21st, which is actually today, and that would happen with Jack Dorsey, Elon Musk, Cathie Wood, and some other players, but those are like the three main ones. So basically this whole event started off with, I think, Jack and Elon going back and forth on Twitter. So basically Jack was kind of like somewhat calling out Elon to have a conversation of Bitcoin, and so that's basically what the event's going to be about. It's going to be about them hashing it out about Bitcoin, and then I think it would just increase institutional adoption, kind of like an educational type of event of like telling everyone like what Bitcoin is and like how it works and stuff. So I feel like it's gonna increase the price, if anything, at least in the short term, and it would just be like a good educational type of event. And then again, I feel like if we get to regulation or any type of regulation, I think that would just increase the adoption, and again, increasing adoption would increase the price. So a lot of people are saying that if you regulate Bitcoin, it would actually probably like cause Bitcoin to tank, but I feel like if anything, it would help it out because it would make investors feel more safe now that it's regulated and stuff. So it would increase the adoption. Alright, so now I want to showcase my portfolio. So I am in Coinbase Pro right here. So as you can see, I have about 1.2 of Bitcoin, so around 36,000 in Bitcoin. And then here I have 4.9 in Ethereum, but I actually have 5 in total. So if you can see over here, this is Coinbase, the regular Coinbase is not Coinbase Pro. So they are two different types of portfolios. So in this one, I only have Ethereum, but I only have 0.1. So with that 0.1 plus this 4.9, I have 5 in total. So my goal was to have at least 5 Ethereum, which I do. Now my overall goal is to have at least 2 Bitcoins as well. So I'm gonna try saving up as much, or at least dollar cost averaging into 2 Bitcoins. So that's what my goal is. And also over here in Robinhood, I have 100 shares of Coinbase. So I used to have Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all that in Robinhood as well. But then after doing some research and stuff, I realized it's not best to have Bitcoin or crypto in general in Robinhood. So I quickly moved all that money out, and it took a while to kind of like move everything from here to Coinbase and such. So I'll do another video basically explaining why you shouldn't have crypto in Robinhood, and I actually think it'll be a good video. And then I also have another video idea that I want to come up with later as well, which basically showcases how you can use Coinbase Pro and such, and then with Coinbase, and then it just like it helps you out a lot with fees. And then there's also like this really cool hack which I thought of how you can use Robinhood to use some money in Robinhood and then basically buy crypto in Coinbase Pro and stuff. So I'll do another video about that as well, but I thought it was like a really cool hack. But yeah, so as you can see, I have Coinbase 100 shares. So one of the reasons why I still have Coinbase is because I do like selling covered calls. So I do plan to be selling covered calls with Coinbase. You need at least 100 shares to be doing that. So that's one of the main reasons why I still have Coinbase versus just having all my money in Bitcoin or Ethereum or split between the two. So definitely gonna be utilizing covered calls. If you don't know how to use covered calls, check out one of my older videos. I cover like different strategies and how to do that, and it's actually, I think it's a really good strategy, especially if you're doing it with like long-term type of plays. But yeah, so anyway, so now let's talk about where I think it's gonna go from here. So as you can see here, basically 30,000 has been a strong support and 41,000 has been a strong resistance. So I think we've touched 41,000 a couple times here and here, and it's just been like, you know, tanking ever since then. And we've been somewhat on the lower end of like 35,000 lately, but however, we have bounced off 30,000 a couple times. I think like 4 times already, like one here, maybe here, and here, which is the latest one. So we bounced off 30k again. Seeing that the upcoming catalyst is the B event, the B word event, with Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk, which is happening later today. I feel like Bitcoin may break into the 31,000 range. However, we are still like within like a downtrend type of wedge, so we'll see what happens. Especially if we hit 31,000, we might get close to the overbought in the RSI. Like we were down here in the oversold, which is why I feel like we had like that bounce back up, and now we're above the 50 RSI, which we've been struggling to hit above like the past couple days, which is why we went down. But now we're above the 50, so we might see like another surge up to 31,000, possibly 34,000 range, which I think would be like the next resistance. Well, actually 32 is probably like the upcoming resistance, like the major one, but 34 will probably be like the one after that. So that's basically what I think is gonna happen with Bitcoin. I don't think it's gonna dip to 25k, or definitely I don't think it's gonna dip to 20k. I just don't see that happening. Like, there's been so much like FUD lately with Bitcoin and crypto in general, which I mean, I don't think it's like, if it was gonna hit 20,000, it would have already done so, I think, because there's so much FUD and there's extreme fear right now within the crypto space. But as you can see, it's been holding above 30,000 for a while. So yeah, anyway, so that's basically my video. I hope you liked it. I know it was a long video, but I basically covered a lot of points, and that's the main reason why I'm basically all in on crypto with Coinbase, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. So yeah, if you liked it, please give a like. If you have any comments, comment down below. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. I'll be making more videos about like how to utilize Coinbase, difference between Coinbase and Coinbase Pro, and then why you probably shouldn't be using Robinhood for crypto. And then I'll even showcase like a cool hack that you can use with Robinhood so you can buy more crypto. Anyways, that's it for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next video.